Hello, and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, where we are once again weekly untethered from VR. No, we are untethered, but we're just untethered in general.
Okay.
And talking about stuff.
We are only tethered to reality by our headphones.
Something like that. And our coffee, or in my case, hot cocoa to the time.
No, I'm sticking with the coffee. I'm just a creature of habit. And here in Japan, where I should be having some tea and relaxing.
Is he?
Am I fooling anyone? Or?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, if I wasn't.
It's a flickering like you are holoporting there using Microsoft Mesh. Maybe you're fooling people. I don't know.
Mesh looked really weird, I have to say.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, we can start talking about it a little bit more later, but yeah.
Okay. It wasn't as big
a hint about what is upcoming in the show.
Big hint.
Yeah, so let's jump right in. Did you have any good highlights this week of anything cool, exciting, fun?
No time
scary
to any. Yes, but non-discussable. Okay, and other than that, no, nothing really unique. Although I am looking at picking up Hyperdash. I got a $10 coupon from Oculus because I haven't bought a game in a few weeks, and they must think I've passed away. So I'm
maybe.
3 weeks without Brad buying a game, the company's stock starts going down. So.
I thought that was what happened when Michael went 3 weeks without buying a game.
Well, that used to be the case, but since Mikey split over into the PC VR side of things, sometimes he's not quite as...
yeah, but he doesn't really go out over there very often. He can't handle the 5 milliseconds extra latency.
I don't even believe people could measure that latency. 5 milliseconds. That's
well. That's not the exact number, but no, it's a
I know.
It's in milliseconds.
I know.
Not even a full second.
I know. It's officially streaming. It's official now. So
yeah,
got it. But I think Mikey and I are tied on games and experiences, right around tied on how many games we own. But he
has beat in how many he's actually played.
That's what I just said, right? I collect mine, save them, trade them with a friend.
You keep them in a box on the shelf, and you go and you dust them off every now and then.
Yes, with my digital duster, it's a whole trip.
Yes.
All
right. Well,
yours.
I think probably my biggest highlight this week was not being able to attend Microsoft Ignite within Altspace because, I could go in there, but it was having performance issues, and it was just stuck on the pre-show starting soon looping videos, and it got into the actual presentation. Everyone else is there applauding and reacting, and I'm like, I just see the starting soon stuff still. So I gave up and I watched it on YouTube instead.
All right, a little less interactive, but the same basic thing.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later, obviously. But yeah, there was some cool stuff shown there. Not necessarily completely unexpected, any of it, but it was cool. So.
Look, obviously they want to be a platform for the AR, VR world. They can't really ignore it anymore. And basically, it's an announcement that we're not going to ignore it anymore. But there was no masterful, basically just, okay, XR, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah. So Now, let's jump into the new releases. Let's dive right in, so we can climb up.
Okay, Oliver, that one was for you.
Okay. Yep. As we mentioned in our episode that we released earlier this week, the Climb 2, they came out this week.
It actually came out. It's not coming soon anymore. It's here.
Yes. Now it came soon.
We might get banned for that one. And I would say that the reviews were pretty impressive for the Quest 2 and a little less whelming for the original Quest once again.
Yep. Yeah. From all I can see, it looks like it's basically the same game as the original game. It's the same mechanics, climbing and all that, but they added a few new things. Like there are some moving elements, like when you are doing the cityscape environment, and you get to the first platform where you can actually just stand up and whatnot,
right.
Or the second one, I forget which, but it then is like a window cleaner elevator thing, and it lifts you up to the next route.
Right, there's the scaffolding, there's also the falling ladder, and different elements.
There are zip lines, and and there's a spot where you have to go off of a flagpole and jump onto a hanging crane platform. And I was watching Mike VR Oasis's video of it, and he kept yelling at the platform, "Stop moving! Stop moving!" So
yeah, well, he's taking that voice activation command just a little too seriously there. It's not that advanced yet.
Yeah. So if you're into the Climb 1, the Climb 2 will be a great game for you.
Exactly. So, from all reviews, because I haven't played it myself. So
yeah. I haven't really played it either, primarily because I haven't bought it, and I'm not really likely to, because I don't think it's a game that I would really play more than once. So
yeah, I would think
it would be fun for the initial. Ooh, so this is what all the hype, and then it just gather virtual death to my virtual library. So
right, exactly, which happens with way too many games after.
I mean, this is for me. Obviously there are a lot of people that love it and they play it over and over again. So this is not a slam on the game. This is just it's not my kind of.
Exactly. Look, I don't like Cloudland's mini golf because I find that disorienting. So, this game does not call me. Falling in midair off of.
At least it doesn't call you late for dinner.
None of my games call me late for dinner. They know better. I'm a mean man when my dinner is late. So yeah, the Climb made it out, and that's a good thing. And it does look very nice, and it looks like they improved on the original, and they gave them a few more details. Like, I don't know, I read things squeak when you climb. They just made it more.
And there are animals and interactions of some kind with them, like there are birds and.
Right, they poke your eyes out while you're trying to get to the next level. It's
Hey, that makes it more fun.
Yeah, well, certainly more challenging.
It makes it more challenging, at least. I don't know about more fun, but it makes it more challenging.
Right. Is there a reason that the left lens went out? Yes, the bird pecked your eye out. It's like, interesting. But I don't think they've gone that far yet.
No.
That'll be Climb 3.
Yes. Speaking of birds and general things of that nature, Luna also came out. How about that for a segue?
Pretty blunt and brutal, actually.
Hey,
Well, why don't you tell us about Luna, Josh, now that you brought it to our attention in such a
well,
sneaky way?
Luna is the word for moon. It's also the name of Luna Lovegood in Harry Potter. No? You're not buying it? It's,
You're the one with the scrim coming up. You can,
this is kind of an atmospheric experience slash I believe a little bit of a puzzler as well. It looks like another one of those kind of artsy ones, which is not necessarily a bad thing,
and I think they said it was light, puzzle light, Lite. So move your finger to hit the button. Done.
Yeah. So what this is, as soon as the page that you don't see loading loads, so that I can remind myself, a bird's peaceful summer slumber is disturbed by the majestic call of a mysterious owl. Whoo! Whoo! I'm assuming it's not a screech owl, because then it would be like, eee!
Can you warn me? I have headphones on, Josh. That was cruel.
Sorry. Enticed to swallow the last piece of the waning moon, bird is blown far from his Golden Gate home. So, evidently, the bird lives in San Francisco on the Golden Gate Bridge.
The bird is stripping.
And an owl wakes it up, and then the bird, in retaliation, eats the moon. And then the bird has to reunite all the pieces of the moon and find its way back home.
What kind of sloppy eater is it? How did it get pieces of the moon all over the place? I mean, didn't its mother ever teach it how to eat a moon correctly? That's just...
Well, you eat it like a big piece of pie.
That's amore.
Yes.
Just a second too quick.
So yeah, it's $14.99 US on the store.
But it's like
one
an hour
really appeals to me. What?
It doesn't have a very long playthrough either, from what I read.
Yeah. From what I heard, I believe it's a relatively short game. If it weren't relatively short but were longer, I might have gotten it, but
once again, just not quite calling.
Yeah. And we also have Arthur, which is free. It's a productivity app. It has nothing to do with the cartoon Arthur featuring the... I'm not even sure what he is. Is he a kangaroo or a rat? Or
I think of the movie with Dudley Moore, who's drunk, because it looks like a piano over Arthur in the logo anyway. So I'm really not sure.
I'm talking about the cartoon Arthur, the kid cartoon.
Right. I don't remember what exactly Arthur was, just the cartoon character.
But anyways, it has nothing to do with that, and I don't know why we are talking about it, other than the fact that I brought it up.
Well, it's a productivity app, and wow, those are so rare these days that I can't wait to try this one.
Yeah, and they kind of cheaped out on the avatars. It looks like, because you're all wearing mustaches. In every screenshot I have seen, there are mustaches, so to bring back memories of watching Legion.
Oh God!
And you have sunglasses on, so nobody can see that your eyes are just going.
You gave away the secret, Josh. They were trying to surprise and hide that from people. But you see, now I don't know if the picture is frozen like usual, or if you actually were just okay.
No, but so I don't think it's really got anything that really makes it stand out from any of the other productivity apps. So
Might in the future, and it might if you actually utilize it. But since I haven't opened it either, I don't know.
yeah,
It seems like all the productivity apps are really geared towards needing them. They're not something you can just experiment with unless you have a few other people that are trying to accomplish something.
Right. Exactly. So,
if you don't have a goal that you want to achieve with a few other people, these are going to be very boring.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Guardians VR came out as well. It's not out on the official store. It's out on SideQuest and Itch and all that. So, but what?
It hasn't made it to the App Lab yet.
No, not yet. But from what I've heard, that they are pursuing that, and from what I've heard, it's a good game. This is a tower defense game, but it's also got elements of a first-person shooter in that you go down into the battlefield and you are actually taking part in it rather than just overseeing it.
Which is something that's what Warhammer introduced in the original Warhammer series, was being able to go from godlike down to the actual soldier. So yeah, that's a good thing to do. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. So go check it out. If you like it, get it. And if you don't like it, then
don't get it.
Then don't get it. You know?
Or wait until it comes out on App Lab, because that's so different than just buying it through Facebook. Because they're obviously not curating things.
Yeah. Speaking of App Lab, we have Tiny Castles that came out on App Lab, which is a Facebook app. First Steps got a hand tracking update that I have not tried that out yet, but Tiny Castles was one of the internal hand tracking, the testing apps that they have been using, and it's a series of 4, I believe, different levels, all of which use a slightly different combination of hand tracking mechanics for you to solve puzzles and defeat enemies. It's not balanced or optimized to be an actual game, because it was just meant as a testing ground.
Exactly.
It's a demo showcasing and testing ground. But it's available. It's free. It works well for the most part. I played through it and it was a little buggy at some points, but that's because that's how hand tracking is right now. If anything interferes with the Quest's ability to see and interpret your hands, then while you are trying to do a force throw, it's not going to work. It's just going to drop out of your hand instead.
Which sort of defeats the purpose. But it's they just don't have it perfected yet. But in time for the Quest Pro.
Yeah, maybe. So moving on to upcoming titles. I mentioned one here that I'm going to mention again in the news briefly, because I included this one here, and then I included the bigger news later on. So, Song in the Smoke. This is kind of it's a survival game where you have to hunt and craft and survive, and it's set in kind of a mythical prehistoric period, because you have fantastical creatures, you have prehistoric creatures, and you have prehistoric creatures that are the fantastical kind, as in probably not real, and never were real.
Right.
But um, it's the forest, it's Minecraft survival mode,
Right.
etc.
I
So
don't love the graphics, though. I'll be honest. To me,
yeah, it's very stylized graphics.
right. Kind of clunky is the word I would use, but stylized is nice. But yeah, it looks like it has all the elements of the survival game.
Yeah.
So I just don't know how long it plays or how
Uh,
long the survival element
we don't know
is.
that yet, but it is coming later, I believe, this year. Um, and it will be on the Rift and the Quest platforms and on the PlayStation VR platform.
Right, but is it coming before or after Green Hill? That's the
I don't
question.
know.
I know.
If it comes after Green Hell, it might not do very good
That's
because
what I'm thinking.
I think the Hell is going to take a lot of that
Right.
market share.
Well, I was going to say Green Hell looks like they're aiming for a AAA title with Green Hell,
Right.
and this does not look like they're aiming for a
Right.
AAA
No.
title. This looks like a hit and a miss for a B.
Right.
So
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
look at to
So,
see what happens when it
yeah.
comes.
Yep. We will.
Interesting that we have both
All we can
survival
do.
games.
So, an upcoming title that we have mentioned before that I don't believe that we have an official date for yet is Demio, and we have seen some more information on it, including a kind of a gameplay trailer of it, showing that it is indeed a tabletop game. It's not a first-person fantasy dungeon crawler. It's you and three other friends. It looks like, according to the video that we saw, are sitting around a virtual table. It is cross-platform between VR and flat screen. Um, and you roll the dice for the characters' combat and all that, just like you do in a real role-playing game. But the pieces move on their own according to the stuff, and they go through the combat animations on their own. And you can go down into the board and watch it from that perspective. And there are cards of some sort as well. So it's like a combination Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering.
It's Catan, but with a magical twist.
Right.
Right. It
So,
sounds like, I don't know how much you'll be doing in it, but I was sort of, I like the fact that you could do it first person perspective, because to me, a game like that, tabletop in VR, is a waste. It's an interesting thing for AR. In
oh yeah.
VR, I guess for a distance related game, I don't know that that's the way I would do it. And that's like when you said we saw the trailer of the gameplay. I don't know if that's final gameplay or just
Right.
their
Well, yeah.
hypey stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this is just what we've seen so far. That may not be completely representative of actual final gameplay. Who knows?
Right. So that's just
Yeah.
it. Is I'm holding judgment back on this one until I actually see the gameplay. But it does have potential. I mean, for a few people to get together, especially during the pandemic, and be
Yeah.
able to play a tabletop
Yeah.
game, at a distance. The only
Yeah.
other one I can think of offhand is Catan. That's the
Right.
only tabletop game that's right
Right.
now in VR, and
Well,
that's super fun.
there's also Suro. That's a tabletop game, but
Well,
it's a little bit different because you don't have a board in front of you and you can't see the other player, and yeah.
yeah,
So
more hybrid than tabletop.
yeah,
It's its
yeah,
own thing. So
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
wouldn't include that,
yeah.
but
Now,
Catan.
yeah, our next bit of upcoming title news is we finally found out what VR Rosie has been working on for a year.
Interesting.
Zombieland Headshot Fever.
I was watching when she finally announced it, and she was able to announce it. But I have to say, not as impressed as I thought I would be by a Rosie game.
Yeah, a lot of people have been kind of panning the way that it looks, saying that it's kind of going back to the 90s and whatnot. And I, I don't know, personally, that's not necessarily a bad thing because, um, as we all know, the graphics of the game sometimes don't actually play that much of a role in the immersion. Like, we've had fun, the both of us, playing pickup league hockey before, but back when they were the really ugly football-looking characters.
Right, but it's
Yeah.
harder now to go back to that stage, you know. And the thing is that Rosie VR is art.
Yes.
So when you're talking about a graphical downgrade, and it's resting on the quality of the artist who is known for their art
Right.
being
I know.
really
Yeah.
spectacular. You know, it's
So,
sort of,
yeah.
you
But
know,
maybe she was constrained because they said, this is the look we are going for. I don't know.
it's sort of like Pixar doing Rick and Morty. I'm not seeing it. You know, it's the
Oh, they
quality.
would make all the characters look cuter, probably.
That's true, but she has the Pixar quality, is what I'm saying. I don't want to see
Right,
downgraded Rosie. You know what I mean? It's
right.
like if they had to downgrade her work to make it utilized, utilizable, utilitarian within a game, then that's really not good, in my
Yeah,
opinion. We'll see what happens, you know. But
yeah,
like you
yeah,
said, it's getting banned already
yeah,
for its graphics,
yeah.
and
But at the same time, nobody has actually played it yet. And the gameplay may more than make up for the graphics.
once again, we're
Who knows?
talking VR Rosie. It's like saying, oh, listen, the frame is going to make up for the Van Gogh. You know, it's
Oh no,
like,
you're not gonna get a Zombieland game because of the graphics, most likely. um, I don't have any games that I've gotten only for the graphics. I've gotten them because I want the game.
right.
You
The
know,
only game I bought
so
for the
if
graphics was Texas
I, I,
Effect.
you know, I'm like, I I understand what you were saying about the art and the downgrade and all that, and I agree with that. But at the same time, I don't know what the gameplay is like, and I probably won't know until other people play it and review it, because once again, this isn't a game that really appeals to me that much. So I'm probably not going to buy it. But
Well,
no,
to me, it's just sort of the trailer wasn't well done either. Because I still,
right.
if you
Well,
watch the
yeah,
trailer, I don't know what I'm watching, and I'm not impressed, which is two very unfortunate things to happen when I see a trailer for this long-awaited project, you know. So that's
right,
all. Just
right, yeah,
expressing my
yeah, yeah,
unbiased, because you know I've been a fan of Rosie's ever
yeah,
since she started. So
yes. Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, I'm excited that she's excited about it coming out, and it remains to be seen how well it does. So,
right.
our next title is Flow Weaver is coming out next week. That's a dimension hopping magic based puzzler game. That's kind of like an escape room.
That's what they call it, is an
Yeah,
escape room, but an
yeah,
interdimensional escape room is something I wouldn't really consider an escape room.
I know.
You know, to me, an escape room is sort of more confined than interdimensional travel.
Right.
Um,
True, but
that's a
it,
very involved
it's
escape room.
it's a I'm looking at it's more like there's this house so that you're in, and to this room. In order to get out of this room and get closer to the door, first you need to go into that room because it's got a key to finding the key in this room that'll unlock that door, which leads you in the direction of the front door. You know,
Right. I thought of
so
the room when I read it, and I
yeah,
thought of because that is interdimensional as well. I mean, the
yeah,
puzzle, and yeah,
yeah.
it's like
But the room, I wouldn't classify the room as an escape room game. That's a puzzle game.
it's a puzzle
'Cause-
game. But if they're going to classify this game as an escape room game, and it sounds like, and it has interdimensional, like a
well,
combination Escher and quantum physics in order to be able to get to the front door. Um,
well, yeah.
well,
It's a matter of what you want to call it. How's
right.
that?
That's what it just seems a very generic, very generic term for anything that includes interdimensional travel to be called an escape room is just, I'm sorry.
Fair enough. And then we have Star Wars Pinball coming up as well. So,
Yes.
which looks to be really good. Because as you were mentioning, I think in the pre-show, one of the cool things is that there are times when you get to go down into the pinball board and to take part in the action and whatnot.
Right. Which is amazing. And also, it looks like there are times when you do certain things, some of your rewards, you see the, ships flying out of the pinball game.
Right.
Very Lucasy, very Star Wars, and you have the characters hanging out in the arcade, which is, if you could be in an arcade, Darth Vader is kind of cool to be hanging out in the arcade there, so it looks
Yeah.
good. I
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
from what I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars is pinball. It'll probably do well. I like the pinball games. I don't know that I've ever bought a pinball game for VR before, so I don't know if I'll be buying this one or not. Just because I don't know how much I'd actually to be playing it.
Well,
So
I've never bought the other pinball games because they all look like you're in an arcade, and that none of them
right,
appeal to me. But this one, the ability to shrink down, the ability
right,
to play it and have some really cool effects, and if done right, pinball has infinite replayability. So
true, true. So we shall see.
yes,
As far as I know, we don't have a definite date for that yet, so it's
I
just
think
one
they said
to keep an eye on.
obviously they were talking end of quarter one, but I think it's closer to beginning of quarter two. But it's going to be
Right,
on every platform. They're releasing it on
right,
every platform, so that should be kind of very
yeah.
cool.
Yep. So in our news, all good news starts with some bad news that some people consider good news and other people consider bad news. So
I
the
thought,
GNU that I am talking about is Google Cardboard has been basically officially discontinued. Google is no longer selling cardboard kits.
I know, even the cardboard kits are
Yes,
gone. It's
yes.
amazing. It really
So, I mean, we kind of saw this coming, really. I'm not surprised by it. There are some people who are saying, "Oh, good riddance to that," because not gonna lie, that was kind of a horrible VR type of experience, and that's what puts a lot of people off of VR. And well, maybe now that we have all this so much better VR, but to back in the day, no, that's what we had.
that was VR, right? If you were going to see VR, that was how to do it. So
Right.
they're crazy. Once again, they're
Yeah.
judging something that's 8 years old by today's standard, which is insane. Um, they
And
didn't
it
have.
is still being used because it is still honestly the most affordable way for things like schools or doctors to bring VR to their students or the patients. It's one of the most affordable ways. Bring your phone, bring a Google Cardboard headset, plop your the therapeutic app on there. Voila.
I know, I know.
So,
And the thing is, it's Google. I mean, they killed Tango because of how well they thought they could do with the single lens, and now they're going back to dual lenses. They're not reinstating Tango. They're sticking with their augmented enhancements and now using two lenses, which is
right.
basically they're still not going with LiDAR. They're still doing the sort of stereoscopic, we can do it this way. It reminds me very much of Solaris at this point. It seems like they are really taking the hard way around here.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, it kind of marks the end of an era, but, I kind of feel it needs a good send off because it was a great starting point for a lot
Well, it was,
of
but
people.
at this
I
point,
mean, yeah, I wasn't nowhere near as good as the Quest or the Quest 2 or the Vive Pro or the Vive Pro I or
anything real.
or the Vive
No,
Pro i2 squared.
Vive Pro, give us more money. Vive Pro with eye tracking, token eye
Yes.
tracking. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But the bottom line was still, it's Google. They kill everything that they give birth to. I don't
Eventually,
understand
yes.
company
Yeah.
philosophy, but
Yeah. Speaking of company philosophy and policy, Facebook official policy blocks cloud streaming apps in the App Lab and in their official store. So what this means is that Shadow PC and Pluto Sphere, which are working on their own Quest native to VR cloud streaming stuff, won't be able to get them onto App Lab or the official store. They are citing the same reason that they've always decided as to why they didn't want to let virtual desktops patch onto the store. We can't guarantee a good quality service or experience. Well, okay.
right, you're not guaranteeing it. You're
But yeah,
utilizing another service. Why do you care? You
right,
can't guarantee NBC if you're watching it on your Quest. It's just ridiculous.
right.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's
Yeah,
just a way of cutting you
yeah,
off from
yeah.
another gaming service.
Now, some people are speculating that this means that they are working on their own solution and they're blocking competitors until their solution is ready. Given their languaging, I kind of doubt that they have a solution ready. I know that they have been working on that. They've made no secret about that. But if this is the actual reason why they are blocking these, is because they have their own service that's just about ready, that that would open them up to a lot of lawsuits. And I would like to think that Facebook is smart enough to realize that and to not do that. I
Well, we
mean,
could always hope.
past performance does not indicate that they're always aware of that.
Past
But I think
performance
that
indicates that.
recent stuff, that they might have had that hammered into them a little bit,
Well, right. Well, past performance guarantees future crappy results until they get it nailed into their head. Exactly. When you have a nail gun and you say, "This is the idea, Zuck," then it'll happen. But until then, well, come on, seriously, look what they did to GoDan. What have they ever done to do wireless streaming better than he did
Well,
a year ago?
I know. Well, he's officially on the store now, though,
Well, wow.
and um, his remote PC streaming, because you can still use a virtual desktop on a shadow computer to do VR streaming, is not going away because he either can't or doesn't, I forget which it is,
Block it.
check for if it's a local PC or a cloud
Exactly.
PC. So
eventually they'll make him, though. You know, if
yeah,
that's the case, then
yeah. But speaking of, and moving on because we're running low on time here. Shadow is restructuring,
mhm.
and having been um, in business and whatnot before yourself, I know you know what that means. They
It's
are
not a good thing.
restructuring to divest themselves of debt and whatnot. They're not going away, you know.
Well, at this
So
particular time, they're restructuring, and
yes,
that doesn't mean that we're closing. It just doesn't mean we're staying open either.
well,
We're
most of the
trying.
time when a business does a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, it's just to do some internal reorganization and get rid of that debt and to start over. And they often come out stronger than they were before. And there's no reason to believe that this won't happen with them. I mean, there's a high demand for them still. You
I
know?
was going to say, I think it depends on who's backing them because
Yeah.
that high demand has to be filled. And like,
Well, and
as you
that's
know,
part of the reason for this is that high demand. So,
well, yes, but that's the thing is that they're going to have to actually do that so that living
well,
here
yeah,
in Florida, I can use it. If
right.
they can't restructure to the point where I can actually get their service, it's not much of a restructure.
I
So
know.
we'll see. You know,
Yeah,
I'm skeptical, but I'd like it to work.
yeah, yeah. I
So
mean, um, we'll see. I have hopes that it will probably come out stronger and better than it was before. But who knows? They may botch this up. You never know.
right, especially
So,
restructure is a scary
yeah,
word.
yeah. And moving on, it's your move. HTC Vive teaser.
I
Well,
know.
what does it mean? Nobody really knows, except that we have had leaks in the past about an XR2 processor-based headset that they are working on. So it could be that. It could be that they're starting the hype train, working up to an official announcement of it at some point in the indefinite near or far future.
Well, it has the Panasonic look to it. Very similar to the Panasonic look that they were developing for their glasses. You know, tighter to the face and a little more
Right.
cyberpunky looking. And
All that I've seen is like a logo.
it's what?
Like a partial HTC Vive logo. I haven't seen a picture of an actual product
Oh
associated
yeah.
with the teaser.
No, they showed the picture now.
Okay.
And it definitely has that that's what I'm saying. It has that
Right.
Panasonic cyberpunk vibe to it.
Okay.
And that would be great. I mean, honestly, at this point, with the problems that Facebook is doing, the big thing is if HTC does it and you're linked into Steam right off the bat, well, there's the solving your library problem that
Right.
Oculus had
Oh yeah.
created for you.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to buy games at a third of the price.
Yeah. And if it allows uh basically how Steam allows streaming of the games already,
Mhm.
if they can hook it up with Viveport.
Oh, they will. It's
Yeah,
already been
stream
exactly.
a game on a Netflix model.
Well, that's listen. I was reading yesterday, and it made so much sense. This guy was talking about how he wants the PlayStation 5, but he, the X, the Xbox Series X, and he goes, "Here's my problem. The PlayStation 5, when they release a new title that's, one of their solo exclusives, it's $70. That's their new pricing in the United
Right,
States. $70 for a game, 110 in Europe, okay?
right, yeah,
And he said, but Xbox lets you buy the Xbox Game Pass, which gives you access to their exclusive titles the same day they're released. And I could buy a 3-year subscription for $120. and never have to worry for the next 3 years about any title being released,
Right.
as opposed to paying $70 to find out whether or not I even like it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Um, who it remains to be seen if this is a good headset or not, because a lot of the more recent ones that Vive has done have kind of flopped a little bit, like the Cosmos.
the Cosmos was a complete
So,
failure.
but hopefully they have learned all the lessons from those, and they've made something that will actually be a Quest competitor, because that would be awesome. Or a Quest. Actually, at this point, they should be
Quest
hoping
Pro
that it will be a Quest Pro competitor.
Exactly. Because they have to do all this before Apple does their headset. Because if they really do come out with two 8K OLED lenses, and even if it's $3,000, honestly, even if it's $3,000, it's a winner. If they can deliver reality, you know, then
Right.
they're going to take over the planet. So.
And moving on, because we are running really low on time. I've only got 5 minutes before my scrim here, so we got to blaze through the rest of the news, just hitting highlights and overviews of it. Joe Strout, who has been working on Elysia, is now working on Meshwork VR, is his name for it. He is trying to fill the gap that exists in the VR 3D creation software that's already here, like Gravity Sketch and Tilt Brush and whatnot. There's a lot that you can't do with it, that you have to bring it onto a flat screen in order to finish it up, like the UV unwrapping and the texturing and the rigging and the modeling and
Right.
Well, not the modeling, but a lot of that, or some of that, is capable or is able to be done with some PC VR stuff, but there's nothing that's Quest native. So he's working on a Quest app that will enable you to do this, and I believe that he is looking at low poly stuff in particular. If you are interested at all and checking it out, I can drop a link to the Reddit post where he was talking about it, and where you can sign up to be interested in it.
Joe was a good guy, and he certainly would understand the gap that's missing if he could fill it in. Well, he's been working, like you say, on Elysia, so
right, yeah. He definitely has the programming chops. So
right,
and
he's got the creds.
I believe he is working with someone that has done work at like just the Pixar and whatnot. So even better. Moving on.
Your scrim is coming up. You better keep moving.
No, moving on. Perception Lab is working on gestural neural network and neural interface based 3D creation tool. So you use gestures and machine learning, that's the neural network, and neural interface, brainwaves.
You'll remember from 2 weeks ago.
To create. So right now, the little animation that I saw of them working on it was very rough around the edges, and it didn't really create anything that really looked cool. But as a proof of concept, I can see it potentially becoming something.
Right.
So that's something to keep an eye on, or keep a brainwave on.
Depending on what type of neural interface you have.
Yes. And the news earlier that I mentioned that involves Song in the Smoke is there are 6 titles coming to PC or PS VR this year. One of them is Fracked from End Dreams, which is the studio behind Phantom Covert Ops. And There's also Doom 3 VR edition coming.
Right, which is pretty intense.
Yep. Yeah. And it's going to have some of the extensions of it as well, or whatever. After the Fall is also coming. And I Expect You to Die 2.
Well, you too.
Yes. And Zenith is also coming to PlayStation VR. So all of a sudden, a whole swarm of new titles coming to the PlayStation VR platform.
Yeah,
so,
I know. Considering that they're first developing their VR 2, that's sort of weird.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know that we have definite dates on any of these, so it could be that they are coming before the PlayStation 5. It could be that they are coming after the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation VR 2.
Right. There's no date.
Some of them, I believe, are supposed to be hitting the before, but I'm not sure. So, who knows? It's a little bit of a mess in that regard. But
well, if Sony hasn't been paying attention to the forking of the Quest 2 and Quest 1, then they should, because that's what's going to happen if they start developing for the titles now that they're going to charge for the VR and then come out with a whole new system. It's crazy.
Right. But it is good news for PlayStation VR owners that there are new titles coming. And it's good news for a lot of people in general, maybe, is Microsoft Mesh, which was announced in the Microsoft Ignite this week, and that's what was shown in the keynote. Basically, it's like spatial.
Yeah.
Using a volumetric video of a person in reality wearing a HoloLens, interacting with a person in a VR environment, and vice versa. So for those that were at the All-Space event and it was working properly, they got to see a volumetric real person or two there, in the space.
Right.
And they could likewise see out live to whichever specific instance of the alt-space room they were in. So,
which is cool.
It's cool. And Microsoft can probably make this happen. They've got the cloud and the backing and the money, to be able to.
No mistakes. Nothing like Cortana or the Zoom or nothing like that. Microsoft is.
I know, but
Windows
hopefully this meshes with.
Right. I can't guarantee, past performance.
I know, but we'll see. It's something to keep an eye on. It is cool. It will allow for things like playing Pokemon Go with your friends with the HoloLens, because that's exactly what you should be using a $2,000 device for.
Oh, they put it on sale? I thought it was $3,500. I was going to say, wait, $3,500 device, if you could get them on sale.
Right. So anyways, moving on. The Oculus Android app evidently has over 5 million installs. So that's not an accurate count necessarily of how many users there are, because if you get a new phone, you've got to install it again. So, I don't know if this is only counting first-time installs or if it's counting reinstalls as well. But still, it gives a rough idea that there are a lot of users. And so given that it says Android app, that doesn't include all the people using iPhone version of the app.
So yeah, VR is if it's dying at an incredible growth rate.
Yeah, it's dying with a negative.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. And our last bit of news: Impulse Gear, the studio behind Farpoint is working on a new VR title for 2021. What it is, we don't know, but it looks to be a sci-fi themed game. It may be related to Farpoint. It may not be. Nobody really knows for sure yet, as far as I know. And we don't know if it's going to be a PlayStation VR exclusive, if it's going to come to other platforms. So we just know that they are working on one.
Understood.
And I have played Farpoint before at the PlayStation VR demo. It's a well done game, and if you are able to use it with the aim controller, that really enhances things and that improves the feeling of actually being there. So we shall see. Is one to keep an eye on. As I have said multiple times this episode.
I was going to say, this episode seems to be a future-oriented episode.
Keep your eye on it.
Right. Yeah. Keep watching the skies.
So, anyways, with no further ado, that brings us to the end of our show. If you made it this far, wow, you have a lot of stamina. And thank you for making this far and watching and liking and subscribing and convincing your friends by offering them chocolate to also like and subscribe.
That was very kind of them.
Yes. And make sure that they eat the chocolate as a reward. You don't eat it yourself as your reward for having convinced them. So, to buy yourself your own chocolates to have as a reward for convincing them and bribing them with chocolate.
Okay. There's nothing I can add to that. Really, just nothing.
Bye. Have a great week.